have a quorum of, okay, of 5 people. And one case for tonight, 2167 Walter and Nancy Morgan, at to add 215 square feet, which would be to a property at, let me get it right. Our property. Let's see, Portanimacut. Am I doing it right? Pronouncing it correctly? Portanimacut?
Portanimacut, but I think it's all good.
Portanimacut, 115 Portanimacut Road. And this is a case where the existing property does not meet the requirements, and we're adding to a non-compliance. And John, are you going to speak about it?
I am.
You are. Okay. All right. Is there anybody in the group who has a conflict? Nope. So we are all impartial. And John, why don't you go ahead?
Well, good evening,
And
everybody.
summarize the proposal.
Sure. Good evening. It's nice to see you. Unfortunately, we're not in person still. It's kind of the ongoing bummer of these hearings, but hopefully everybody's doing well. I'm here, as you said, for my client's property on Portanimacut. It's Walter and Nancy Morgan. And they are looking to do some renovations that on the front side of their building, increase the footprint. Now their home is not extremely large, as is normally the case when you have.
Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you, George.
I don't seem to be able to hear anybody else.
I hear you, George.
Yeah, I hear you as well.
Can everybody else hear
Hang
me?
on just a minute. Technical. So George, you can't hear any of us?
I don't think you can. I haven't said anything particularly groundbreaking yet, but
No, you have. No.
is he having a speaker problem, or, I mean, he can't hear us, so there's nothing we can do to.
You may have to dial in. I just don't know how to tell him. There's no chat on this, I guess, right?
Yeah, I don't have anything to write on, just tell him to dial in. Send help.
I can hold up a sign. Is it
It
George?
looks like Matt is writing it.
Matt's
Okay.
doing it.
Okay, George, dial in.
You might have to talk for him to see you, Matt, so you pop up on his
Why
screen.
can't I connect?
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear
I
you.
should have learned sign language.
And see you.
There he goes.
By year 4 of the pandemic, we'll get this all right, the Zoom thing.
Please, no. Mr.
All right.
Mardick just joined as well.
Yes, and Stacy has joined us.
Very well.
Michael, we kicked the meeting off, but then George had a technical problem and I still think he does. He can't hear any of us.
We have a quorum, Lynn.
We do, correct. We have a quorum and we went ahead, and John Kanaga was just starting when we realized George can't hear us.
I've heard people having that problem the past few days, when I don't know what causes it.
So it looks like he's still out of pocket here.
I'm happy to restart, Mr. Marnick. I didn't say anything in particular that was missable. Wasn't missable, I suppose.
I didn't think so. Lynn, did Stacy recite the notice concerning number 2167?
Started out doing that, whether I did the
Okay.
entire appropriate citation, I'm not sure, but I started out with it, yes.
Oh, you did, fine, okay. You want to continue on, Lynn? Would you
Sure.
chair the meeting?
Sure, I can do that.
Very
So,
well.
you know, I asked if anyone had a conflict, no one did. So George, I guess, is still out of touch as far as we know. So, but we can go ahead because we still have a quorum. So why don't we go ahead? And you can, John, just start again.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, again. No, I think I'll just start with the application on my clients, Walter and Nancy Morgan, are attempting to do a small renovation on their house. This is going to become their year-round home. And the vast majority, if you've seen the site plan, is in the front of it, and it's a very small footprint increase, but the building itself is not very large. The reason we're here over the 4,000 square foot footprint is because it's condominium. So there's 4 other single family homes on the parcel. And because of that, we're slightly over the 4,000 square foot that you have to come for a special permit, or in this case, when it's pre-existing, come for a special permit.
Followed by pound.
Come for a special permit under a pre-existing nonconformity, as well as under note 3, the 15% buildable upland. Again, you know, none of this would be a problem as the house itself. It doesn't come close to 4,000 square feet or 15% of the buildable upland of the lot. But it does, with the other 3, exceed that. They are pre-existing, and we believe that the small increase of 200 some square feet does not negatively impact the neighborhood in any way. The site, I think it's 217 square feet, so I didn't have it in front of me. The current existing building coverage on the entire site is going to be 4,693 feet. And the building proposed meets all the setback height requirements. There's no issue there. There's no new nonconformity with these additions. The site is a residential zone, so the residents, especially since it's become a year-round residence, is appropriate for the site. The proposal won't impact traffic flow on Port Inimicut within the neighborhood. They're not changing the amount of people that will be able to stay there, the bedrooms, and in fact, part of their renovation was in the basement, and the Board of Health, or sorry, the Health Department determined that they were not adding a bedroom in the basement, and our health agent, Alex Fitch, wanted us to include that in the packet, so that's in the packet we sent you. The visual character of the neighborhood, I mean, I think if anything, it helps it. It takes an older building, and I know I included the architectural drawings, partially because they're by hand, which I always like. I think they look kind of cool, but I put that in the packet. It shows what they're going to do to the front of the building. I think it improves the aesthetic of the building as it relates to the neighborhood. Title V will not change, and it meets all Orleans Board of Health requirements. Utilities are and will continue to be adequate. Besides the actual construction, there's not going to be any undue noise or litter from the project. It's with the small increase, and the proposed change will not have a detrimental effect on the groundwater quality, recharge volume, and water quality of the coastal and freshwater bodies. This project has gone through the Conservation Commission because of its proximity to water, and it has passed. So here we are in front of you asking for a special permit for under note 3 and note 5 as pre-existing non-conforming to those two. An expansion of those pre-existing non-conforming, sorry.
Was the, may I, Lynn, may I ask a question?
Do.
Was the existing area of all 4 units is 4,693 square feet. And now, according to the table, the total would be 4,910 square feet. Was there a previous relief from the zoning board to allow an excess of over 4,000?
I am not for this structure, no. There may have been for the others. I'm not aware of them. I don't think they've expanded those in recent history, but this is the first application for this structure. And I
Okay.
think all of them, when the condominium was created, I think they were beyond that 4,000 square feet in the 80s, prior to the adoption of Note 5.
I'm just wondering how we got into this predicament where you've got 4 separate units, none of which come close to 4,000 square feet coverage in each. But then you need to come in because of all the aggregate and ask
Sure.
relief for an extra 215 square feet or something like that.
Right.
I mean, it's an oddity, John. That's what I was thinking. And I'm
Certainly, I don't think the site would be subdividable under current zoning. So I think the condo as it was set up and, in the 80s remains. So if, any increase, if someone puts a rinse station outside, it's going to cause an increase in footprint and trigger that Note 5 pre-existing non-conforming anytime, as long as, you don't go into new non-conforming, so you can't increase the height behind the height requirements. You can't increase the setbacks beyond what they are. There's no encroachment in the setbacks on any of the buildings. So there would be no, and Frank, I think the other, at least 2 of the other 3 buildings are, I think it would be difficult to expand on them anyways because of their proximity to they're closer to the water. So I think you'd run into some conservation issues if you tried to.
Well, and I assume, what is the position of the owners of units 2, 3, and 4?
They're the same owner. It's the Sholamides, who are probably known to this board. And it is my understanding that they're not opposing this in any way, but I don't want to speak for them because I don't represent them, but that's my understanding. If I may, through the chair, let Walter speak. I mean, you've spoken to Phil.
Hi, everybody. We've been co-owners of this condominium association for about 21 years together. And it is, the construction process would be quite a disruption. The condo bylaws state that any change to an exterior component visible must have the approval of all or a majority. And certainly we approach them first with a design plan. And they do have last sign-off rights once we know what exactly we have our approvals. But conversations have been very harmonious. Phil has been very helpful. I was very helpful throughout when the Conservation Commission visited. Again, it's fine with them. They'd rather not see us sell out, like to see us stay. So this is part of that process. But again,
Sorry,
they do have a final sign off that, it can't be forced on our end if that's a concern. but they're fine with us.
And if I may, through the chair, sorry, Mr. Marnick, I should have led with that. Their approval is mandatory. So, yes. I forgot about that part. Thank you, Walter.
Was
I-
that
I
approved?
Does that
wanted-
approval,
Oops, go ahead. Go ahead, was someone going to speak? I was going to
Yes, I
ask
was-
yes,
another-
I was good.
If you can
If
hear
you
me, I
can hear
don't,
me, I don't,
okay, I guess
okay,
I'm
I
on.
guess I'm on.
My
My
question was
question was
associated
associated
with what was just said.
and
And
with
with condominium
condominium
requirements
requirements
and the rules
and the
that you're
rules that
faced
you're
with,
faced with.
it doesn't make
It
any
doesn't make
sense
any
to
sense
me
to me
that they would
that they would
approve or
approve or check and verify that it's okay
after it's
after it's
completed.
completed.
I would
I
presume the
would presume the
condominium
condominium
trustees
trustees
basically would want to
specifically
specifically approve
approve
with what you're
with what you're
proposing
proposing
They,
and then
and then
verify that it was
verify that
done
it
in
was done in
accordance
accordance
to those
to those
requirements.
requirements.
John, I'll try, and then if I say it wrong, you can you can correct me. But you're absolutely right. Before we begin any construction, they have to approve in writing. So, but we have a harmonious relationship. We've tried to soften where we are making a change. So it's attractive. And we've taken their input right from the get-go, because it really would be foolish for us to go down and then have a difficulty personally or from a project standpoint with people that we share the property with. But just to restate, they need to sign, as John said, it's mandatory before we begin anything. So they do have final rights. It's required. It's in the condominium docs. So
And I
And
just
Phil-
want to
Go ahead.
rephrase that slightly.
Yeah.
I think Walter's actually tying in a couple other things. So the condominiums working together to amend some documents for the condominium that they're all working on. Is my understanding the Sholomides are signing off. They're fine on this particular project. But when Walter's talking about the ongoing discussion, I think a lot of that has to do with things completely outside of this project that are harmonious. They're all working together. They've been co-condominium owners for 2 decades. So, but the neighbors are fine with this project. To my knowledge, it's not, but there are other things moving that they're working on. So I didn't want to tie those two together.
right. And John, my point was just to answer, is it George, that they're not signing off after it's done. They sign off before we begin. Just to be clear on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I had a question just to clear up some fuzziness. But I understood from the application that it was the 215 square feet were in putting a connector between 2 buildings. And then it talked about a second floor and it talked about a rec room, and I got confused as to what the totality of what we're talking about. And is
Sure.
this all unit 1? It's just connecting pieces of unit 1?
Yes, so I'll take that kind of piecemeal a little bit. The connector that out front if you do have the site plan.
I've
where-
looked at it, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you see the 2 proposed additions. That's the majority of the footprint that's increasing. And that's what brings us in under note 5, which deals with the footprint of the building, the 4,000 square foot footprint. Now, in this case, it's not this one building, it's all the buildings have a footprint greater than 4,000. So normally when your board sees this, it's a very large house that's increasing or is going to be built that's going to be larger than, the first floor coverage is going to be larger than 4,000 square feet. So there are other additions happening inside the house that are not increasing the footprint. So they aren't really, that's why I didn't address them as part of the note 5 increase. It's that very small footprint increase is why we're here, the note 5.
I get,
I get,
okay, I'll continue.
in
In accordance
accordance
with that
with that
particular
particular
thing,
thing,
this is sort of a nitpick,
nitpick,
but on
but
page
on
5,
page 5A,
item 1
item
down the
1
bottom,
down the bottom, you've listed 217 feet and then 215 feet. And there's one of those, am I unmuted again?
No,
I don't
you're
know what's going
you're
on.
there.
Okay.
That would
That's from
be,
what, if you,
yes, let me see. I believe it's 215, but no, it's
I think it's 217 is correct.
217 is the correct number. It's going from 4693 to 4910, which would be,
so the
that was
215 is a
typo on
scrivener's
my
error.
part. So for the record, yes, we're requesting 217 square feet difference.
Okay,
That was a John Kanaga error. I don't know
yeah,
if I'm a
and I'm a nitpicker. Okay,
So, we should really be the last stop. So, I think we should be seeing that condo approval in writing. In effect, there's a 4,000 square foot cap. It's already been used up. Now we're being asked to exceed it. And so, we shouldn't play referee as to whether this unit owner gets it or their fellow owner. But without diving too deep into that, I just want to go back to the relief sought, and I'm not sure that this falls into special permit territory, and I'm not sure it doesn't require a variance. So can you take me through? So note 5 says in no instance shall we issue a special permit to allow coverage to exceed 15%. So can you take me through how you think this can fit into a special permit rather than variance?
Yeah, can I go back to your first statement too? I don't think you're going to be playing referee because they're not. That's part of why this is a special permit request for both note 3 and note 5. It's not because we're going over 15%. And it's not because we're going over 4,000 square feet. The lot already has over 4,000 square feet coverage, and the lot already is beyond the 15% buildable upland. I can give you the numbers if I can pull it up real quick.
I see them on the site plan, so
Okay.
I'm up to speed on those numbers. So
Okay.
so I think what you're telling me is because you're not creating a new nonconformity, and because it's already nonconforming in those two ways, you're simply extending an existing nonconformity.
Right, and that's under, yes, so the nonconformity is under 164-21A, note 3 and 5. And the reason that it falls under a special permit as opposed to a variance is because it pre-exists and therefore falls under 164-3B, which allows for an alteration to a non-conforming single or two-family residential structure that increases the non-conforming nature of the structure, including those alterations which increase or intensify a pre-existing nonconformity, but not including those alterations which result in a creation of a new nonconformity, may be allowed by special permit. So what makes it fall back into the special permit is both of those note 3 and note 5 were pre-existing prior to this application.
Okay, so I
Well,
understand your
prior to
explanation on that. And I think for fellow board members, I think either a finding of fact or something in the record that states that it's the responsibility of the applicant to gain condominium approval on their own, separate from this process, will at least document that that's what they've represented will happen.
Yep.
That's everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Lynn, I have a question, if I may.
Bruce.
Thank you. In the hearing notice where it describes case number 2167, is this language captured from a formal document that was submitted by the applicant? And the reason I ask is that I found the wording here to be very confusing. And to the extent that we were relying on the wording here, I just felt uncomfortable. To be more specific, it basically says the applicant would like to connect their structures, and I don't know who their are in this. That is to say, whether it's the Morgans or it's the larger condominium association. And when referring to the building, I also find that unclear. That may be my own lack of intelligence, but I would be more comfortable if this somehow made more specific reference to what appears to me to be a freestanding unit, albeit a condominium. I hope I haven't made matters more confusing.
John?
I think what it comes from is part of the application, so it doesn't include my whole description, which is, I mean, I don't think you're going to be able to get my full description into a notice to go out.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
But it certainly is the one unit. It is, the building is connected. I think I was trying to maybe speak architecturally, which is maybe a mistake by an attorney to begin with.
What is the building connected to?
So the building, if you look at the building from the front, so let's look at my application. At the last page of the application, there is sorry. Let's see, it's the page 14 of the application. Shows the front of the structure and shows the porch and the structure with the little it's called like a weather vane up top. That building and the kind of like windmill looking building are connected. They're just getting closed in more than they already are. So it's not completely closed in on the front there. I think that was maybe my description that was poor if it confused you. But that's partially why I included the drawing so that it showed what was actually happening. And it, Walter, if you don't like my description of what's happening.
Yeah, I know Bruce had his hand up first, so I don't want to.
No, I made my comment.
Okay. What the building, there are two units that are connected through a breezeway. As you look at the front of the building, not much changes. As a roof height changes, a couple of roof heights change, but they are currently connected through a open breezeway. And what we are doing is really the two units will become one unit. And the part of the breezeway, which is it's an open deck situation with a shed roof, that will just be closed in, and that increases the footprint. So that it's building unit one. There are two, I guess, dwellings, if you will. They will be connected. So building unit one will then have one dwelling when we're done. And we'll be connecting more or less a seasonal part, which includes that windmill type structure, which we're keeping, and we've rehabbing, so that will remain part of the neighborhood and so forth.
Sorry, Walter, you're calling them two units. It's unit one is your building.
Right. I meant to say just dwelling. I don't know. I would get confused in language. It's one unit, right? Two dwellings.
Could I ask in further clarification, the windmill building, the windmill building that's not a building, that's going to be connected to the building that is a building. Currently, what is the utilization of the windmill building?
A bedroom, a living area, a bath, and a small kitchen.
And they will be integrated, if you will. It's not just a walkway, it's a greater a greater
Well,
incorporation or a lesser incorporation.
I'm not sure what that means. They will open into the breezeway area. The kitchen will be eliminated. And it will remain the bedroom there and the living room there. And there's kind of a bit of a dining room. Those will remain.
The
And they'll open
breezeway
up.
will have a floor, 2 walls and a ceiling.
Yes.
Thank you.
There'll be more incorporated, Mr. Top, I think is the answer to your question. More part of unit, the whole unit will be more contiguous. How's that?
It will be one. I don't know what the measurements were that gave us the original footprint relative to the buildings as a whole. I mean, I'm very familiar with the site and I understand the challenge, and I'm just trying to make sure that it conforms to our laws and requirements. That's all.
And almost all of that was pre-exists, Mr. Todd. It's not, when they enclose it, that doesn't increase the footprint. That footprint right there was already there. It's the increase on the front side.
Well, when you measure the footprint, and again, I'm not trying to be obstructionist, I'm just trying to understand for myself. When you measure the original footprint, is it the footprint of all 4 units, including the windmill?
Yes.
Mr. Marnick, I see you shaking your head.
No, Madam Chair, I think that if and when relief is granted, that there will be it will specifically refer to Unit 1 of the Bay Meadow condominium. And I think that although there may have been some ambiguity in the language of the application, that would satisfy Mr. Taub's reservations. A good granting of relief will also, if it's to be done, voted tonight, then would also include a condition that the proposed addition be approved by Bay Meadow, by the Association of Bay Meadow Condominium, according to the condominium documents. I think that all ties it up. I agree with Mr. Taub that when we're looking at the total aggregate coverage, and that's why I raised that question at the very beginning, it is kind of awkward, and we know, as a matter of fact, we really don't know the coverage area of Unit 1, either existing or proposed. We only know the aggregate because that's the way that the zoning bylaw is going to apply to the parcel of land. So but that's the way it was. The condominium was created before for reasons which were previously stated. The trouble was subdivision control, that the law would have prevented it, and the 4,000 square foot regulation or a cap didn't apply at the time, and nobody had to really worry about it. And now we have a kind of a strange application for relief by one of the 4 condominium owners. So that's my sense of it. Mr. Taub, does that, are we on the same page?
Yes. Part of the issue also is, and I have no way of knowing if this is so or not, We don't know what the condominium document says. Perhaps this condominium controls 51% of the vote of the 4 condominiums. So when we make our conditions, I'd like us to be very explicit about that. Again, I'm not trying to be oppositional. I'm not in oppositional. I'm just trying to cross all the Ts and dot all the Is.
This, our interest is 52%,
Mhm.
but it requires a majority to approve. So,
Majority of the unit owners.
yeah,
So.
which
if
the
I-
other
if I
3
may-
units being
Yeah.
owned by Phil.
So sorry to interrupt. It does require it. I hope it does require Mr. Solomides and his wife, sorry, their approval. And I hope you take my word for it. Otherwise, we're going to be filing condo docs and applications. But we're happy for that. All that language that was just stated by both Mr. Marnick and Mr. Taub and Mr. Cole before him is perfectly fine. We're happy to have that included.
Right. Any other questions? I don't think we have any people here speaking for or against, nor have we received any letters. Stacy, correct? There's nothing that we've received about this from abutters, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So discussion amongst the board members.
I'm in
do you
favor
think?
of, I'm in favor of the granting the application. I think the condition ought to be that if we could grant it tonight, I'm in favor of granting the relief tonight, conditioned upon the approval of the association. I think that the building inspector or this application file ought to be completed by a certified copy of that portion of the master deed or condominium or other condominium documents, which allows the change in an area of one of the 4 units, which it will signify the percentage of consent, and then the consent document as well, and attested or an original. You're going to have to do that at the registry of deeds anyway, Mr. You know, to complete it, to complete the change of the area. So that's my thinking. Otherwise, it's a nice looking proposal.
Thanks.
Any other comments before we take a vote or discussion?
So I agree with Mr. Marnick. I will make a motion to approve, subject to the condition that Michael just outlined.
I'd also like to say that I really subjectively and inappropriately approve of this because it really is a nice design. It's a wonderful thing, I think, for the property owner to be able to connect that windmill or whatever it is, lighthouse, to the main building. And again, subject to the concerns we've all expressed, I would vote my approval and I would second Mr. Cole's proposal.
Okay, all right, let's take a vote. So we'll have a vote from Michael and Bruce and Matt, Emily, and Lynn. So, and George, we can since you're particularly struggling with hearing everything, and we can take a vote with those folks. So Michael,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes,
and Lynn, yes. All right. So relief is approved, and I'm happy to tackle writing the opinion, Michael, and you can edit my language about condo documents.
Very well.
Although I lived in a condo for 15 years, so I know something about condo documents at least.
Very well.
Thank you all.
Mr. Kanaga, would you favor the chair and I with a electronic version of the copy of the 2 pages? It's numbered 5A and would have been 5B from your application, the electronic version through Stacy.
Yeah, I can give you both a PDF and Word if you'd like.
Yeah, I would like the word version. That would
sure.
assist in the drafting of the opinion.
I can do that, yes.
Good, thank you.
Night, everybody.
Thank
Thank you all very much.
Night. All right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Okay,
Tom.
Motion to
Was that
adjourn?
Evra's motion to dismiss?
yes.
I rule him out of order.
Hey, everybody. Wish us well.
Nice to see everybody.
Thank you, sir.
All
Thanks,
right.
Lynn.
Okay, you motion to adjourn. We had a second?
Second.
Second.
Great, okay, we are adjourned.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you all.
Okay,
Good night,
Thanks.
all
all.
right,
I'll call you,
good
John.
night.